Hi, I'm Mr. Kangas, and today we're going to take a look at Chapter 13, Section 4. Once again, I'm going to kind of make a reference to Chapter 3. If you understood Chapter 3, then this section really shouldn't be all that difficult. It's basically using distributive property. We're going to be multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. So we're going to take a single term and multiply it by an expression that has many terms in it. So basically the monomial is going to be on the outside of the parentheses. Remember distributive property, you have your parentheses, there's some stuff inside with a number outside. You take the number on the outside, you multiply it by everything inside. Same exact concept here. Outside we're going to have a monomial, inside there's going to be a polynomial. One term outside, many terms inside. We're going to take the one term on the outside, multiply it by everything inside. So for example, do a couple of quick simple examples. If I have something like 5 on the outside and I have 2k plus 4 on the inside, here's my monomial, my one term. Here's my polynomial. This is actually a binomial. It's got two terms in it. So I'm going to take the 5 and I'm going to multiply it by both terms inside. So I have 5 times 2k plus 5 times 4. Notice how the sign that was in between the 2k and the 4 stays in between. Okay? 5 times 2k. Okay? Remember, this is 2k means 2 times k. So really this is 5 times 2 times k. So I can multiply these in any order I want. The only things I can multiply here, though, are the 5 and the 2. I can't do 5 times k and get an answer. I can do 5 times 2 and I'll get 10, so I'll get 10k for my answer there. I know I have to do 10 times k next, but I can't do it because I don't know what k is. 5 times 4 is 20. So the answer to this problem is 10k plus 20. Remember to pause the video and take notes if you need to. Pause the video and ask questions if you need to. So that's one example of a simple problem. I will do another one with a variable on the outside so you can see what that looks like. So let's take n is going to be the monomial on the outside. We're going to put 6n on the inside plus 4. So again, you're going to take the number or a variable on the outside and multiply by everything inside. I'm going to do n times 6n plus n times 4. N times 6n really means n times 6 times n. You can multiply them in any order you want. The only two things I can kind of simplify here in this statement is n times n. Instead of writing 6nn, I'm going to write it as 6n squared. N times n is n squared. N to the first power times n to the first power equals n to the second power. Remember, when you're multiplying exponents, the exponents end up just getting added together. I'm not going to explain why. I've done that in previous videos. If you don't remember, pause the video, ask for some help. You're going to keep your plus sign in between them. N times 4 is just 4n. Remember, whenever we're writing multiplication between a constant and a variable, we always like to have the constant or the number out in front. So that would be the answer to this problem. Coming up next, I'll do something slightly different. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the same problem, but now I'm going to add a z to the 4, just so you can kind of see what that would be like. Again, we're going to go n times 6n. And remember to be copying these examples down. These are important examples to understand how to do. Right? And n times 4z. So the n on the outside times both things inside. The signs in between staying the same. N times 6n is going to get us 6n squared. N times 4z just gets us 4zn. You could also write 4nz. Doesn't matter the order of the letters. Remember, with multiplication, order doesn't matter. But just to keep things simple, we as mathematicians like to have the numbers out front because now I can say I have 4 ZNs. Okay, so now I have something a little bit more concrete, easier to wrap my mind around. Now we're going to go on to something a little bit more difficult. Okay, and yes, you will see decimals in this section, so be prepared to multiply, add, and subtract with decimals, please. So another problem that you may see, something like this. Negative 6.5p. On the inside, you may see something like 8p squared. I'm going to make this a little bit longer. Plus, go with 4p plus, or we'll make that a b. How about that? 4b plus 2. Okay? So this time we have a monomial on the outside that has both a constant and a variable in it. And on the inside we now have 3 terms. The 3 terms inside really don't change anything aside from the fact that now instead of doing 2 multiplication problems, I am doing 3. And I'm actually going to change the plus sign here to a subtraction sign just so you can see what to do when the signs change. Really isn't a whole lot. So you're going to take the negative 6.5p, multiply it by everything inside. So we're going to take negative 6.5p times 8p squared. I'm going to start over here a little bit, give myself some more room. Negative 6.5p times 8p squared plus negative 6.5p times 4b minus negative 6.5p times 2. Let's just make sure we can see all of that. Yep. Alright. So at this point, you're going to take it one multiplication problem at a time. I'm going to start at the far left. Negative 6.5p times 8p squared. So what this really means, as we've discussed before, this is negative 6.5 times p times 8 times p squared. So I'm going to multiply my variables together, because again I have 4 things being multiplied here. Negative 6.5, p, 8, and p squared. I'm going to multiply the things that are easy to multiply together. The numbers are easy to multiply together. The variables are easy to multiply together. Negative 6.5 times 8 is going to get me negative 52. And the p times p squared is going to get me p to the 3rd power. So the result of this is negative 52 p to the 3rd power. Now, I am going to go on, I'm going to put my plus sign is going to fall down. And I'm going to go on to the next multiplication problem. Negative 6.5p times 4b. Negative 6.5 times 4 is going to get me negative 28. P times b will just get me pb. Finally, I'm going to drop my subtraction sign down. And I'm going to have negative 6.5p times 2. There's nothing to multiply my p by, so I'm just going to do the negative 6.5 times 2, which is going to get me negative 13p. Because then negative 6.5 times 2 is negative 13, times p is negative 13p. At this point, to finish off my problem, I'm going to keep, flip, change, or add the opposite here. So I keep, flip, change that to a positive 13p, and that is my final answer. Negative 52p to the 3rd power plus negative 28pb plus 13p. There's a lot of work to do here, but it's not hard work. It's just time consuming. So I don't want to hear a bunch of stuff about how hard this is, when in reality your complaint is this takes a long time. There's a difference between something taking a long time and having a lot of work and something being hard. Okay, this isn't difficult to do. There's just a lot of multiplying and a lot of keep flip changing to do. You could have done the keep flip change way back here in the beginning if you wanted to. That would have saved you from doing it at the end. Doesn't really change anything in the end. So just remember the steps and the order in which to complete them. Other than that, this is pretty simple. I don't think there's one more thing I want to go over real quick before I end the video. I'll show it to you real quick. I don't think I've done an example like this yet, and I'll do a short one. If you have, for example, let's go with a 5x 6xy minus 2zb. Okay, you're going to take 5x times 6xy. And I'll do the keep flip change here. So keep flip change. So we're going to put the plus sign down, and we're going to do 5x times negative 2zb. Again, if you're having trouble with any of this, pause it, ask for help. Make sure you're pausing and taking notes as we go along. So we're going to do the 5 times the 6. We'll get 30. X times x gets me x squared. There's nothing to multiply my y by, so it stays the same. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And x times, well, there's nothing to multiply the x by, so you just have x. And then the zb have nothing to multiply by either, so they just become zb. So you end up with 30x squared y plus negative 10xzb. So I just want to go over an example where I had a double variable in my term. Doesn't really change a whole lot. As you can see, again, pause it if you need some help, or pause it if you need to take notes, and make sure you're taking notes. Any questions, let me know. Next video will be on chapter 13, section 5, and that's going to be on linear and nonlinear functions.